All right, we are finally here with the Leo Cup Champions Meeting Guide. Let's just get right into it. So, Champions Meeting, Leo Cup. These are the sort of parameters for it. Hanshin turf, 2200 meters, medium distance. It's going to be right-handed, otherwise known as clockwise. Summer, sunny, firm. You know the drill. Here is the track. Now, some key things to kind of note about the track. One is that the late race section starts on a corner. It starts on a corner from the 3rd to the 4th. And so what this immediately means is that unlike Gemini Cup, unlike Cancer Cup, Straightaway Spurt is absolutely useless. Straightaway Spurt will activate somewhere around here, which is just not ideal for an acceleration skill. And so it's absolutely useless. One other thing to note is that this uphill section is hit twice, and there are no downhills. There are no downhills whatsoever. And so a character like, Gold Ship is just not gonna really work as well as she used to because there's no go home specialist. There's no heal on a downhill. So Gold Ship is gonna have to look for the second heal somewhere else. There are probably a lot of Gold Ships with like high stamina, and you can expect people to kind of use their leftover Umas from previous cups in this one, just because it is pretty similar in terms of its parameters, in terms of its distance, in terms of the green skills that would be needed. So expect that a lot, and we'll be talking about that a little more. Besides that, not really too much to talk about. It's very similar to Taurus Cup in that your late race section starts on a corner. Your final corner isn't too far from the start of the late race section. And so you'll see the usual suspects in like Red Shift, which comes from Maruzensky, Shooting for Victory, which comes from Taiki Shuttle. These are going to be very good. Let's Pump Some Iron will activate at the perfect time here. That's going to be coming from Mejiro Ryan. And as far as a new addition and towards this like sort of medium distance track, you will also see Seiun Skies, and you'll also see frontrunners. Summer Maruzensky and Special Week, as well as Meisho Dodo. And I also think Asian Flash are kind of debuting on this track, if you would say it like that, with Summer Maruzensky and Summer Special Week being very, very good. We'll get into more details. This is the sort of like a vertical slice. You know what this is. It tells you where the straights are, the corners, the uphills. Okay, there's no downhills. The final leg, the late race, otherwise known as, it starts on a corner. And just note that over here is where you get the Red Shift and Shooting for Victory. Over here is where you get skills like Let's Pump Iron and the Rod or Angling and Scheming. For this, I do think some corner velocity skills are nice. You get it on the middle leg, as well as you can potentially hit it over here into the late race. Getting velocity into as you enter the late race, as you enter the acceleration zone is very good. Acceleration on final corner is going to be very good. So that's Red Shift, that's Shooting for Victory. Uphill velocity. So this is like 1.5 million CC, which is like this skill over here. I believe Haru Urara has it, as well as like a... what is it called? A Tamamo Cross card. It's not very common. It's not very easy to get. This one is not very easy to get, but it is notably on Fantasy Pasa. Besides that, there's also uphill acceleration, which I haven't mentioned over here. These skills are pretty nice. It's called Highlander. This is on Rice Shower, but she's not that great, I believe, on this track. But you do see this on Seiun Sky. There are some cards with it, notably the Manhattan Cafe. Pretty good. This skill is usually good on something like lates or ends, not necessarily the fronts or paces, because usually you get this acceleration. Front runners usually hit their top speed somewhere in this opening leg pretty easily, whereas for lates or ends, not so much. So Highlander is pretty nice for them. Besides that, straight velocity, I would say is okay. It's okay. I mean, you get the middle leg, this opening leg. Yeah, I would say straight velocity is pretty good. Yeah, I personally like straight velocity. I think Mumu Cows, I think he rates it as like RNG or maybe too expensive. If it's too expensive, yeah, I don't think it's that good. But otherwise, I personally like them. But here are the stat the stat guidelines for this one. 1200 speed, obviously you want it to be capped, and it's very important you at least have over 900, but I don't think this is going to be a problem for most people, or at least the people watching this video. By getting 1200 speed for this track, if you recall with Cancer Cup, the stat thresholds were stamina and guts. In this cup, you don't really have to worry about it because the stamina threshold is just speed. So you're going to get cap speed. That means you're going to get plus 20% speed stat. That's going to be pretty crazy as far as speed, and you'll have the distance to make it as well. Stamina is going to be somewhere around here, which we'll go over on this table. And power is going to be somewhere around here. There's no like threshold for power. There's no like guideline for guts. Usually you're going to come around here by training the stamina. And for wit, you know, if you're a front runner, you probably want to be closer to 600. Otherwise, you're totally fine being like around 380, 400-ish. Now, for stamina, this stamina table, we have two sort of tables, one with 1 gold, one with 2 golds, 2 gold recovery skills. Recovery skills, medium distance track, it's going to be very good. What does that mean? That means that pace chasers are going to be pretty popular because you have Race Planner, Gourmand, you have Swinging Maestro, Miraculous Step with Teo, but I think as far as like really accessible golden heals, those 3 are the biggest ones, right? And so pace chasers have it in abundance. Front runners are going to be a little tough, but we'll talk about like why Summer Maru is super good for that. Late surgers and end closers also have little access to heals, but you'll see what characters typically are nice are characters that have like an innate heal if they have like the recovery in either their unique skills or in their potentials. I would say like these are pretty high stamina requirements, even with 2 gold. I would just aim to be like on the higher end of these things. Okay. This is like with maximum amount of debuffs. That means like you're running into like 2 evil natures and 2 evil wedding Mayanos. I believe there's some other that are coming into that too. Actually, no, I think 2 nice natures and 2 wedding Mayanos, right? That being the case, it's not going to be very common, but aiming for like the higher end of these stamina numbers with 2 golden heals, I think you'll be pretty safe. Okay. So besides that, here are the skills that are good. We could talk about the green skills, right? We have right-handed, summer runner, Hanshin race course. This is non-standard distance, by the way, not standard. It's 2200 meters. And we have firm conditions and sunny days. Pretty usual. The only things that are kind of different is summer runner, non-standard, and the Hanshin race course. Here are some of the support cards that have multiple green skills. Very relevant if you're trying to build a front runner, because typically you want like 3 green skills and groundwork. Machikana Fukukitaru is a card with a chain event that gives right-handed. So very, very strong, very good card for that. As well, the only source of Summer Runner that we have at the moment is Fuji Kiseki. So these are cards to kind of keep in mind. Here are the good skills per position. We have Angling and Scheming being the best thing for front runners, right? We have Redshift. Escape Artist is pretty good. This comes from the SSR Seiun Sky card. You know, as far as like distance corners, distance straightaways, style corners, style straightaways, these are going to be very good. There's not really much else for me to talk about here. For front runners, it's pretty straightforward. For Pace Chaser as well, we get the Redshift, the Shooting for Victory. Notice Condor's Fury. This comes from Fantasy Pasa. Fantasy El Condor Pasa has this unique skill and makes for a pretty decent unique skill to inherit. I would definitely say if you have her to consider running her as a parent. Besides that, there's I Never Goof Up. I Never Goof Up is the unique skill for Meisho Dodo. So let's take a look at that one really quick, and also Fantasy Pasa. Fantasy Pasa, her skill, Condor's Fury, it activates when you have an overtake target. It happens on the final corner, so same timing as Redshift and Shooting for Victory. And it has a pretty, like, nice order conditions, right? Anywhere between 4th to 7th place. Great for pace, great for late. I would even say good for end closers, right? Having an overtake target is pretty good because it doesn't require you to overtake. just that you have someone to overtake, right? And I think that's going to be very easy with the abundance of pace chasers. Meisho Dodo is going to be available pretty quickly, and her unique skill is pretty good. It's like a dual speed acceleration skill, similar to Victoria Porplancha. The nice thing about this skill is that it activates at the perfect time. It just needs to be a corner, not the final corner. So it has the same timing, potentially, as Let's Pump Iron or Angling and Scheming. It happens on the late race on a corner. Very good. It also has very easy order conditions. You just need to be not in the top 2. The only problem is that you need to be overtaking someone in order to take advantage of this. It is really good. It is really good. And even when you inherit it, it's as good as like an inherited Victoria Porplancha, which turned out to be pretty good for Leo Cup, right? So I would say this skill is very good, but it's going to have to run secondary, especially if you're going to do it for late surges and closers. It's going to have to run secondary to something like Pump, because it does require you to overtake someone in order to use it. Okay. Besides that, nothing really stands out as worth mentioning. We have late surger. Let's move on with that. We got Pump. We got Redshift, Shooting for Victory on your left, which is on like Grass Wonder. Pretty tough to build Grass Wonder as the stamina requirements are high. 15 million CC, which is the gold skill of 1.5 million CC. I don't really know if there's like a really good way to get 1.5 mil. Yeah, definitely no 15 mil. There's not a really good way to get 1.5 mil. And besides that, nothing really crazy to talk about. I think Nimble Navigator, though, you'll see this actually in the Pace Chaser section, as well as the late, as well as the end. There is some pretty good potential there. On average, you get 0.6 lengths, which is pretty strong. And over here is like 0.7. It gets stronger as you get later, if I recall correctly. Yeah, 0.83. So Nimble Navigator is pretty nice. Nimble Navigator is on Mayano Top Gun. But as far as card options go, I need to be reminded here. Nimble Navigator has quite a bit. You have Fine Motion, who would be good for frontrunners, but probably not good to get Nimble Navigator on frontrunner. Kind of requires you to be behind someone. You need to be someone needs to be blocking you. But there is Mayano Top Gun as a pretty good stamina card that you can run for the skill. As well, Mayano Top Gun and Ogre Cap. These are going to be pretty good characters. Dominator, very nice. Dominator is very nice. That's going to be on Rudolph. That's going to be on Agnes Tachyon. We'll talk about them a little bit later. And then finally, we have End Closer. And there's nothing really too crazy here besides like Highlander. Highlander, which again, I need to be reminded one more time. If this skill is easy to get, it does. It is pretty easy to get. Or rather, you'll see it on something like Manhattan Cafe, the SR stamina card, which is definitely a very good card, even without, like, you don't hit Highlander. Besides that, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's a Pump, it's a Redshift, it's a Shooting for Victory, and there's only new additions in terms of the acceleration, including Condor's Fury and I Never Goof Up. Moving forward. Let's talk about the cards. So I'm not going to give you example decks. I'm just going to label some standout cards per the stat, okay? Speed's always going to be very important. You're typically going to run at least 3 speed cards in practically every deck. You're obviously going to want to have your Kitasan, try and get 3 Limit Break, try to make it so that you don't borrow it, but obviously there's not a lot of control over that. It's either you have it right now or you don't. Nadita Brian is going to be a pretty good card. I've seen some cards, some decks get cap out speed with just 3 speed cards, including her. Even though like her as a stat stick isn't that great, it's possible. So if, especially you're a free-to-play player, definitely consider leveling her up because you have medium corners, medium straightaways, you have right-handed, you have Lone Wolf without like any like downsides. That'll help you have an easier career that could, you know, just potentially go off on a CM. This is a great card. For a parent, for ace, you have the relevant skills. Very, very nice. You have Special Week, the first event card. If you were playing at launch, you pretty much have this. If you don't, then it's kind of sucks. but it is very important to get Gourmand. Gourmand is a very good second heal, second gold recovery skill for pace chasers. So definitely very good for them to run. Besides that, you have King Halo. What's nice about King Halo in this CM is that she has firm conditions. She also has discounts for corner recovery. I believe she gives like 3 hint levels as a support effect, so a total of 4, and so that's really nice. That's really nice to build out your aces. I definitely think she's good for front, and you definitely want to run her for front runners, but she's just good for everyone, really. Besides that, you have Nishino Flower. Nishino Flower, I think, is particularly a good consideration for front runners. Pace Chasers is nice too, because she does have Pace Chaser corners. But for front runners, she has 2 greens with good hints. She has firm conditions, and I want to say sunny days, but I might be wrong here. I have to look that up. That's going to be over here on the speed, Nishino Flower. She has Hanshin Racecourse. That's what she has. So having 2 greens on a card with high hint frequency, high hint levels, that's something to consider. But that said, I do think, thinking and remembering it now, she's really good for parents, front runner parents. Not necessarily good for front runner aces, just because she has no specialty priority. Okay, so keep that in mind. She also has a charming event, which is kind of, it's nice for your parent runs. This is pretty much only exclusively a parent card. Moving forward, you have your stamina cards. Now, this is, you're going to run like 2 or 3 of them to meet the high stamina requirements. And you're pretty much going to want to also get the gold heals, making Super Creek basically like the best in slot. No matter like who you're running, no matter what limit break you have, you pretty much need this Swinging Maestro. Swinging Maestro is very, very important, very easy to get. Borrow Super Creek or run her, even if you have lower limit breaks. It's definitely worth running just by virtue of having the Swinging Maestro. She also has firm conditions, which is not bad at all. As a parent card, I do like her as well, especially if you have her in high limit breaks, because she gives you initial stamina, if I'm not mistaken, 35 stamina. So like if you're running something like Seiun Sky, who does have to place top 3, I believe in Tennosho Spring, if not Kikasho. She definitely wants to like place on Kikasho. This is nice and something I'm running in my front runner parent decks. Besides that, you have Manhattan Cafe, who has Highlander, great for late and end racers. She also has non-standard distance, good stamina skill. She's also a great stat stick. She comes with friend gauge, unlike Maya no Top Gun, the other alternative SR stamina. And so she's just a great all-around card, an excellent card. Maya no Top Gun is also good for late or ends. Nimble Navigator is kind of nice for this course, I believe, because there's probably a lot of evil natures for you to kind of pass up around to activate this. You also have non-standard distance. It's a high roll stat stick though. She does not have friend gauge, so it's a little harder to use this. So don't be frustrated if a lot of your runs, some of your runs are like just not ending up with the stats. She has focus on a chain event. So focus on a chain event is pretty good. I believe she has focus on a chain event. Yeah. On her second chain event, it does come with focus, which is a really nice skill for front runners. It's not a guaranteed activation, but it's good. Very good stamina card for sure. Besides that, Seiun Sky. I like Seiun Sky for front runners. She has Escape Artist, which is a key skill. Escape Artist is a key skill. It's the 3rd most valuable skill for front runners. So I like Seiun Sky a lot for front runners. She's a great stat stick. She has tail held high. I would say she's even the 2nd best in slot stamina card for front runners, even if you have 0 limit break. Even if you have 0 limit break, she's like best in slot as a 2nd card. Try and borrow her maximum break if you can. Besides that, though, another consideration for front runners, namely like Summer Maruzensky, pretty much, is going to be Satano Diamond, actually, which is a little surprising. But she has 2 green skills. You have Sunny Days and Firm Conditions, and whatever is going to consistently get you your green skills for your groundwork is something worth considering. My suggestion, if you're trying to build a front runner, is try and get like your legs first. Build like, let's say, a Summer Maruzensky. and use a deck with plenty of like 2 green skills. Get your 3 green skills, get your groundwork, get something going, and then try and go for some of the higher roll sort of cards besides Satuno Diamond, like Seiun Sky, and try and get something with Escape Artist with the greens, if that makes sense. Try and get like easier things to do and an ace under your belt before moving on to these. Yeah, just a good card. Besides that, she also has medium corners, I believe, or straightaways. I believe corners though. So definitely worth considering. Besides that, we have power cards. Now, power is just not gonna have a lot of slots for your deck, but some notable power cards include Yaina Muteki, who's, you know, pretty consistently a very good parent card, just has very good skills, tail held high, ramp up. I don't want to say home stretch haste, but playtime's over. Playtime's over is a second chain, pick the bottom option. It will end the chain, but that's fine. You don't really want it's on. So, you know, playtime's over is very, very good for frontrunners. An amazing skill for frontrunners. You have tail held high, don't get prepared to pass. I don't like up tempo. Home stretch haste is fine, but ramp up is really nice for pretty much anyone to fight for position, to overtake if you're trying to make a front runner as well. Besides that, you have SR Nishino Flower. This is 2 green skills with pretty good hint levels. So again, as a front runner, pace chaser parent, very good. She has pace chaser corners. Besides that, you have Daiwa Scarlet, the new free-to-play power card, SSR. The event is happening right now, so if you haven't already, you know, make sure you're farming the event. You need 400,000 event points in order to get your last copy. Everything else is like 1 is story and 2 of them is from like the wheel. Definitely, if you're trying to run a pace chaser, go for this card because she has Race Planner as part of her events. So you can take a look at that over here. She has Race Planner as her last chain event, and she gives you 3 hints for it. A golden recovery, 3 hints. Very nice. Very good for pace chasers. Okay. 3 on the bingo? Okay, 3 on the bingo. Sorry. Anyway. Besides that, yeah, 3 on the bingo is right. Besides that, the Wit card. The Wit cards now definitely has room to have like 1 slot, especially for front runners. You want some wit in there. Agnes Tachyon is probably the best because she has medium corners, medium straightaways. She has a tether if you want to run her for lates or ends. I definitely think she's a great card for parents. She's a great card for aces. Definitely checks a lot of the boxes. You have Machikane Fukukitaru, and this is one of the cards I would recommend, again, to build like your first sort of Summer Maruzensky, just to have like a fallback ace, because on her second chain event, she has right-handed, which is pretty much a guaranteed green skill. I definitely think this is a card worth running. Besides that, you have Fine Motion, who has Nimble Navigator for lates or ends. She has right-handed on a hint. She's a great roaming stat card. Definitely a good borrow, or if you reroll for her, she's definitely good to run. Marvelous Sunday has Tail Held High. She has Hanshin Racecourse from an event. She has Ramp Up, which is amazing. You have, you know, as far as an SR Wit card goes, she's a really good stat stick. She has 10 race bonus, which is very valuable for frontrunners because frontrunners have a really easy time winning races. So during the career mode, so very nice to, you know, get a bunch of skill points. Besides that, she also has debuffs. So if you're making a evil nature, definitely consider that. Now, the one thing I wanted to mention with regards to the stamina table is that the debuffs are going to be very prominent because evil nature is online, is fully online. She has Mystifying Murmur and All Seeing Eyes. And on top of that, we also have Wedding Mind on Top Gun, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but she also has Mystifying Murmur. That was a slight detour, but besides this, we have Medro Dober, who has Sunny Days, and she has a pretty good skill Slick Surge for late surgers, and so I definitely think she's worth considering if you have room for a Wit card for your late surgers. Not always gonna happen. These are not just guts and friend cards. These are like whatever, okay? Cards that are not really conventional. Air Groove, this is a guts card. She has groundwork, and that's good enough to run for your parent. if for front runners. So if you're trying to make a front runner parent, definitely have Air Groove in your deck. I don't care if you have like 9 sparks of groundwork. If you have 9 sparks of groundwork, throw this in too, because you're gonna have runs where you just don't hit it, and you just want to have more, I guess, insurance for it. Medium straight, amazing front parent. Also has some good debuffs as well for end closers specifically, or to target end closers. This is Tazuna. Tazuna is, I would say, it's a must-have on Mihono Bourbon, which we'll talk about. I think Mihono Bourbon's pretty good. She has concentration. She's helpful for moody ones. She's also just like nice. I think like she's good. I don't think she'll save your runs, but she's very nice to give you really high roll runs because she has energy reduction, so you can fit more trainings in, and as well she has good recovery, especially if you have like 2 limit break and above. I would say to try and run her at 2 limit break, if not borrow a max limit break version of her. I think she's really good, and we are still in URA scenario. Definitely worth considering. Besides that, you have Rare Rudolph. This is a Wit card, so none of these. It's a Wit card, okay? This is basically where you're going to get a bunch of your debuffs. If you want to take a look at it, it's like over here. She has a bunch of debuffs, Tether being one of the more important ones. Just as groundwork, which is interesting. Moving forward, we're going to talk about Legacies and the standout Umas, and as well cap it out with the final team comps. We're actually moving through this pretty quick. Legacies, these are the ones that I think are very good, and we're not going to talk about it like too much. I believe a lot of you guys are going to be familiar with a lot of the details, but let me know in the comments below if you see someone asking questions. You know, make sure you guys answer that as well. Besides that, Measure Ryan. Measure Ryan is pretty much an essential inherent for late stagers and end closers. Essential meaning like you're trying to win. You're trying to get like Group A Finals Platinum. Essential late end acceleration skill. And it's has a perfect activation time. It activates just as you enter the late race. So absolutely essential for late searchers and end closers. Moving past that, you have Maruzensky. I would say this is a very good skill universally. End closers want to accelerate into this, and they have some leeway to do it. Like, they have some time. If you get like pump over here, your 6th place position, and you go into this corner, because this is where red shift and shooting for victory activates, right? You go into this corner and you've overtaken someone, then you get even more acceleration and you reach your top speed even faster. So I would say for pretty much any position, you're going to want this. It does activate a little later, but that's fine. This is for Taiki Shuttle, and it's good for non-front. Now, Maruzensky, as you know, activates if you're in the top 5. For Taiki Shuttle, you cannot, it's like, you have to be 3rd, 4th, or 5th, right? So you can't be front runner, and it's basically the same as Redshift. So definitely very good. As far as like essential, it's essential, but like, I would say in order to have a really good shot of winning Group A Finals, you only really need 2, but so it's like, don't trash all your Umas if they don't have all 3. It's one of the essentials, if that makes any sense. Moving past that, you have Seiun Sky, and basically, if you're a front runner, you need Seiun Sky. If you're a front runner, you need Seiun Sky's ultimate. It has the perfect activation timing, same as Metro Orion's, and I would probably pair this with Redshift from Maruzensky to get some really good acceleration. Besides that, you have the usual suspects in Ogre Cap and Rudolph having endgame velocity skills, or the last spurt velocity skills. Ogre Cap is pretty much good for anyone that's not a front runner, because you have to not be in the lead to activate it. And for Rudolph, it's nice to be a late surge or an end closer for it, because you have to pass 3 people in order to activate it. Some newcomers for like good legacies, in my opinion, include Fantasy Pasa. Fantasy Pasa, we've talked about it before. You need to be 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th. You need to be having an overtake target, and activates around the same time as Maruzensky and Taiki Shuttle. So I definitely think it's a very nice acceleration skill for anyone that's not a front runner. I would even include pace chasers in there, especially if you yourself make a packed pace chaser team, which has merit, I would say. Besides that, you have Meisho Dodo. I think this is a good secondary acceleration skill for anyone that's not a front. Why is it secondary? Is because you do have to overtake someone in order for this to activate. You need to overtake someone in order for I Never Goof Up to activate. But once you have it, you know, you get an additional acceleration boost. It potentially can activate perfectly. You could just pass someone right as you enter the late race, and that could work. But otherwise, it is kind of like the Victoria per plancha in that I think the inherited version only gives you 10 centimeter per second square. So something worth noting, and it does come up with good numbers. So I would definitely try it if you happen to pull for Meisho Dodo. Besides that, you have a couple other ones to consider. If you're making frontrunners, definitely consider having Summer Maruzensky as a parent, because her velocity skill, her unique skill when inherited, is a pretty good mid-race velocity skill. That said, it's not going to be notably better than something like Ramp Up or Playtime's Over. Not really Playtime's Over, that's if you're being trailed. I believe there's a different one. If I look at Yano Muteki, there are some good skills to be fighting for first place position. One of them is Ramp Up, and I would say it's not Playtime's Over. I can't really think of it off the top of my head, but just consider the price. It's not better than other mid-race velocity skills that help you fight for first place position. Someone said it in chat, Slipstream. That's a good one. Yeah. Okay. Moving past that, you have Mayano Top Gun, and that's another sort of unique skill. Now, when you simulate this, right, and this is in the Uma later, which is like over here. When you simulate this, it's never going to pop up here because I don't think it's implemented properly. For Mayano Top Gun, you have this basically potentially angling and scheming. It's the key acceleration sort of unique inherent, but it's only going to work for lates or ends. It's not really going to work for frontrunners or pace chasers because they're going to get the speed part. But for lates and ends, you will get this acceleration part, and it sounds good. I don't know if it is good, but I think it's something worth trying. I would say it is secondary to Let's Pump Iron, but notably, well, it's secondary because you have to pass someone. You have to pass someone similar to Dodo, but full power. But it's secondary because you have to pass someone. Notably, though, it has pretty nice order requirements, anywhere between 5th, 6th, or 7th, instead of Pump requiring you to be in 6th place position. Sim doesn't correctly apply. Yep. Okay, so we're done with the legacies. Let's go ahead and talk about the standout Umas. Okay, so for the standout Umas, you have the new Summer Maruzensky. Look at her is my note, right? Well, let's take a look at Summer Maruzensky. Why is she so good? Well, Summer Maruzensky, you could watch my should you pull video for Summer Maruzensky if you really want like really big details. But essentially, one of the best mid-race velocity skills to fight or keep your first place position. Very easy to activate, very consistent, super good. Okay, you have the recovery skills alongside it to boot. Moxie activates. You have Restless. You have the golden version of Moxie. So that's like, okay, you have Restless, and then you get Swinging Maestro. There's your 2 heals right there, right? She's one of the only frontrunners in this game right now that just comes well equipped with 2 golden heals. That's on potential level 3. Don't get anything else. It's not relevant for this cup. So definitely Restless is very good. Also 50% speed and wit growth. She's just good. I mean, just look at her. Moving past that, you have Seiun Sky. 10% stamina growth is okay. It is okay. But she has no innate heals. However, it's just worth mentioning that if she happens to hit the rod, she's the best version of it because it's not inherited. And so you get the full acceleration, the full unfiltered acceleration of Seiun Sky. So if she hits it, it's going to be pretty good. But she's going to be very hard to build. Besides that, you have Mihono Bourbon. Now, I saw some guides. I don't think a lot of people are talking about Mihono Bourbon. I think she makes for a pretty good backup front runner, and I'll tell you why. If you take a look at Mihono Bourbon, she has 20% stamina growth. Not only does she have 20% stamina growth, but she also has Track Blazer. This is a heal. It activates mid-race. The only caveat to this is that you need to be first. However, if you're running something like Summer Maruzensky, and let's say she gets rushed, or let's say she gets a late start, then this works. It's a fallback. It's a backup. And so I definitely think as a backup, as a support to Summer Maruzensky, she could work because you have 20% stamina growth, and otherwise she'll die in the late race and your Summer Maruzensky is running past her with the rod. That's totally fine too. She's going to really want concentration. She's going to really want concentration, and that's just to give her the best shot at activating her unique, because it requires her to not be rushed or to have a late start, which you can't really... Late start, you can eliminate completely by having concentration, assuming you hit the wit check. I like Mihono Bourbon. Besides that, another potential is TM Opera. TM Opera is kind of cool because she has C compatibility aptitude with front running. She also has 20% stamina growth. And on top of that, she comes with a green skill for this track. She comes with a green skill for this track. It is non-standard distance. That's going to help you with the stamina. It's going to help you with the groundwork. That's pretty cool. Dancer Vittoria, it's not going to really activate that well. You're probably going to be much better to do that as a pace chaser. That's fine. But, you know, things can get hot in the sort of final corner. You never know. It might be able to help you, give you that extra boost. I think by having inherent green, by having 20% stamina growth, she is a potentially decent frontrunner. Okay. With all frontrunners, though, try and aim for groundwork with 3 greens. Otherwise, you might as well just run pace chasers or late searchers, end closers, whatever. But of course, just run whatever characters you like. Other frontrunners are fine. They just take more work. Okay, so don't be afraid to run your Seiun Suzukas, run anyone else. That's pretty much it for frontrunning. You have now pace chasers. Pace chasers. So we have Meisho Dodo. Meisho Dodo, I think because, or rather when you are not inheriting her unique's pretty good. Her unique's pretty good, right? You have Victoria per plancha, and it activates potentially at a really good time. As long as you have like tail held high combo, some kind of mid-race velocity, maybe carry over into that late race, this will activate. And you'll get like 30 centimeter per second squared compared to 40, which is the angling and scheming. You're going to be accelerating faster than Umas that inherit angling and scheming. So that's worth noting. She also has 20% stamina growth and non-standard distance as well on her kit. She has Indomitable. A lot of people say this is not reliable, and maybe they're right. I definitely think the mid-race is pretty big, and you'll probably get overtaken once. You'll be trading positions. If you pack or you run like a triple pace chaser team, I think that's pretty probable as well. So I don't think it's it's a bad heal. I definitely think Meisho Dodo is someone to watch out for. She's going to be releasing like a little less than a week, I believe. So people have plenty of time to make a good Meisho Dodo. TM Opera, same thing, non-standard distance, 20% stamina growth. If there are a lot of pace chasers, then she pretty much has her condition for ulti, or at least more chances of hitting her ult. Besides that, like pace chasers, there's just a whole bunch of them. And anyone that has like a built-in golden recovery skill is going to be that much easier to build, as well as 10% or 20% stamina growth. It's going to be that much easier to build than any other Uma. You have Gourmand over here with Special Week. You have Gourmand with a recap. You have Miraculous Step and Race Planner with Anime Teo. You have Race Planner with Daiwa Scarlet. You have Race Planner with Fuji Kiseki as well. You have Race Planner with Agnes Tachyon, who also has a unique heal. You have a unique heal on Super Creek, who also has Swinging Maestro at the very end. So these are just going to be the easiest ones to build, probably the ones you see the most. Of course, like, do whatever, though, because with Pace Chasers, you have the Special Week event card that gives Gourmand, and you have the Daiwa Scarlet Power event card, which gives Race Planner, and you have, hopefully, Super Creek with Swinging Maestro. So Those are 3 heals, 3 gold recoveries that you can slap on anyone who wants to be a pace chaser. That's pretty much there. Moving past that, you have late surgers and end closers. The problem with late surgers and end closers in this cup is that they just have very little access to a second gold heal. Not only that, end closers are kind of nerfed in this particular cup because there is no straightaway spurt. There's also no after school stroll / go home specialist. It just does not work. There's no downhills. So these are all things to consider. That said, who are going to be the standout Umas in this position? I think it's going to be Special Week. Special Week, the Summer Special Week, is pretty much a shield character for Leo Cup. That means just almost made exclusively to be very strong for her, because she has 10% stamina growth. She also has a unique heal. This is an amazing unique heal, by the way. Very easy order conditions, as well as just depend on 2 skills. Basically, she depends on you to build her properly. That's great. Ramp up, position pilfer, that's great. You have sunny days as well, for whatever reason. Fast and Furious, a golden version of, I believe, position pilfer. And tail held high, it's on. Like, these are excellent skills. She has the golden recovery, or the equivalent of it, on her kit. Slap a Seiun Maestro on her, go crazy. Besides that, you have Wedding Mayano. She comes with Seiun Maestro. She has 10% stamina. What's really nice about her is, I believe, her unique skill, the Flowery Maneuver. Flowery Maneuver, again, like I said, for late surgers and end closers. You have 5th through 7th, you need to overtake someone on the final corner, but you get that 40 centimeter per second squared acceleration. Really, really cool. Has Seiun Maestro, has Mystifying Murmur, which is online and very deadly in this track. Besides that, I mean, there's not too much else to say. I think she's definitely very good with the 10% stamina growth and built-in heal. You also have Rudolph, Simply Rudolph. She has 20% stamina growth. I don't think she has she has no built-in heal, but she does have Dominator. And Dominator, like, I don't know if you're going to build Rudolph to actually win the race, but Dominator is just one of the best debuffs in the game, because it has the ability to cut off other Uma's legs, so to speak. It really reduces their speed, so that's really good. You also have Grass Wonder, but notably Grass Wonder does not have stamina growth whatsoever, so she's that much harder to build. Rudolph, if you manage to build her to finish the race, she has a great end game unique. And finally, you have Measure Orion. She has her unique skill, activates at a perfect timing, and because it's on her kit, then it's not filtered. You don't have a reduced version of it. She also has medium straightaways, and the only problem is that she's just going to be very, very hard to build. No heals, no stamina growth whatsoever, but I think worth mentioning just because her unique skill is one of the best skills for this cup. Oh yeah, let's talk about some of the special Umas here. The special Umas being Mayano Top Gun, because she can kind of run anything. If you run her as a front runner, I definitely think her ult is pretty good for it. So let's bring up Mayano Top Gun right now. And that's going to be, she has 20% stamina growth, so that's good universally. You have acceleration and speed. So you have Victoria per plancha, really good duration. And that's going to be on the final corner. Same timing as Redshift and Shooting for Victory. And she just needs to kind of be like blocked on the sides, or basically needs to be packed. Pace Chaser, I think it's going to be pretty good for it, but for front runner, could work too, especially if you run like a triple front, who knows. But what she really has is Leader's Pride as a front runner. Leader's Pride is a very nice front runner skill. It's that extra boost past groundwork. Everyone has groundwork, everyone has 3 green skills. Not everyone has Leader's Pride, and that Leader's Pride is an extra boost in velocity after you've reached your top speed with the groundwork. So this is pretty good. I definitely think this is worth considering, especially as for a front runner. She has Breath of Fresh Air, which is a bad heal. It's a bad heal for this track, but it is a heal, and it's still there. So maybe you could do it, and then you have 20% stamina growth. You'll recover something. You're likely to recover something. So Breath of Fresh Air, it's a bad heal, but it's still a heal. Nimble Navigator is one of the best skills for pace. Anyone that's not a front runner, Nimble Navigator is one of the best skills for. You have No Stopping Me, which is the golden version of Nimble Navigator. And so the potential for this, like, take a look at the potential. If you look over here for a late surger, No Stopping Me, potential is 6 links. It's probably never going to be that, but it's still really good. So Maya no Top Gun is definitely a good character all around. The problem is just reaching the necessary stamina and being able to finish the race. But if you can, I definitely think she has a huge potential. Besides that, you have Nice Nature. And the thing about Nice Nature, I don't like debuffs. I don't like making debuffers. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people like to make debuffers. And I definitely think she's a pretty friendly free-to-play option. On top of this, there is going to be Taurus Cup overflow. A lot of people made Evil Natures for Taurus Cup. So she's going to be pretty common, I believe, for this course. She doesn't need to finish the race. She just needs to reach the late race at a reasonable time and deploy her debuffs, and then she's out of commission. So all her debuffs are online. That includes Mystifying Murmur. That includes All Seeing Eyes. Very good debuffer. The picture perfect debuffer. She is the only sort of specialist in that department. Finally, let's talk about example team comps. So example team comps, we have a few sort of ideas here, or what I would think are going to happen a lot. The first being like an ace, a hybrid, and nature. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about someone like Wedding Maya no Top Gun being viable, being sort of relevant, having the adaptability to be a late surge or an end closer. So I definitely think you're going to see quite a bit of her. Ogre Cap is very common. Ogre Cap is very strong. And so I definitely think she's going to be a very typical ace. Double ace with nature, you know, throw a Agnes Tachyon. Very easy to build for free to play. Has the heals to do it. If you're building her as a pace chaser though, do not get Dominator. It's not going to work. If you run her as a late surger, sure, she's kind of like a hybrid. And she does have the heal. It's just hard for her to activate her unique heal on anything that's not being a pace chaser. So just keep that in mind. She needs to be 3rd or 4th in order to do it. So just keep that in mind, that maybe she won't finish the race if you're dependent on that heal. Next, you have Summer Maru, which is the front runner, some kind of support. I personally would like, if I'm making my team, I think I'm going to be running Mihono Bourbon, but you're probably going to see more Seiun Skies just as like a way to gamble and cash in on like that huge acceleration boost. So you'll probably see Summer Maruzensky paired up with Seiun Sky quite a bit. And flex is just like whatever you want. You could run a different ace. You could run a 3rd front runner. You could run a gamble late or end. You could run a nice nature. Whatever you want. Totally works. And it's probably not likely you're going to run into a lot of triple fronts, just because, again, there's just not a lot of valid front runners. Moving past that, you have triple ace. Pretty easy. Try and have your most shots at winning by building the strongest horses. I definitely think these are the strongest, more accessible. Special week not being very accessible. She's new, but you know, a lot of people are very much looking forward to using their special week, I believe. Finally, you have the double hybrid and nature, the most evil, the most stinkiest sort of comp. Wedding Mayano, who's a great ace, and then you just slap a debuff on her. Sibylle Rudolph, which is a fine enough ace. She'll be a little tough, but probably can do it. Give her the Dominator. And another Uma that can kind of fit that slot is Agnes Tachyon, perhaps. Besides that, you have Evil Nature. So these are the team comps that you're going to be seeing very often. These are just examples. Feel free to put whatever Oshi, Umas, whatever you like on it. I think that's pretty much it. That's like all you need to know about Leo Cup in a nutshell. If you guys enjoyed yourselves, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment below if this helped you out. Use code MAMBO for 10% off your gamer subs. Take care. Be safe. I'll see you on the next one.